Yeah, you must start this session now.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So, Assistant Professor at VISAJ Institute of Management and Research, feel honored to welcome Colonel Vijay Kumar Dhawan, expert trainer for soft skills and human behavior, partner VISAJ Training and Consulting. Welcome Dr. Ajay Kumar Sir, Director, GLBIMR, faculty members and dear students to this very special on leaders need to be fillers. Would take the opportunity to introduce our expert guest of the day, Colonel Vijay. With over 30 years of armed forces and corporate experience in leadership, operation, training and human resources across industries, Colonel Vijay is a well-consumed facilitator. After an illustrious career in the Army, Colonel Vijay Dhawan took a premature retirement and joined the corporate and training and development of HCL Infosystems Limited, where he rendered his services for 5 years. And thereafter, Franklin Covey for 6 years. As a trainer, he has trained more than 5,500 leaders and over 160 organizations. He has expertise in leadership, high impact presentation skills, business communication, corporate survival skills, and many more crucial skills required to improve efficiency at workplace. Presently, he is successfully running his own venture, VISAJ Training and Consulting, Noida. On behalf of JLBIMR, I once again welcome you, sir. We also have amongst us Dr. Ajay Kumar Sir, Director, GLBIMR Institute of Management and Research. Having spent more than 32 years in academic research, training and consultancy, in past he served as Director Management at ITS Mohanagar, Director Mass Communication, Hospitality and Tourism at Asian School of Media Studies, Marwa Studio. Has been directed at many other reputed institutions in past. He has been actively involved in national and international projects and conducted more than 600 seminars and conferences. With these words, I would like to invite our Director, Dr. Ajay Kumar Sir, for a welcome address. Please, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome Colonel Dhawan, who has been a leading motivator and who has been addressing the students as well as activities for last many years. So GL Bajaj is privileged today to have him as sole speaker rather, and I believe that he will be able to motivate the students at this time, which is very tough and trying time. The topic of the today, which is leaders are pillars. It's a very difficult topic if we talk about the present condition, because leadership there and leaders are trying to fill up the gap, but challenges remain and uncertainty prevails in the mind of the people in general, the students in particular, if we talk about the education. So I believe that today Colonel Dhawan will be able to bridge this gap, and he will be able to tell the students how to bridge this gap and how to fill the gap of challenges, and he will be talking about the future opportunities too, and what a leader should do and what a leader should contemplate at this time of COVID-19. So without taking much of the time, I would like that this session started. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I would request Colonel Vijay Dhawan to please start the session. Please, yeah. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Ajay, for the lovely words, and I'm so impressed by your by what Arpana talked about you, and it'll be a privilege to probably meet you in Greater Noida next time we are there. And thank you very much for this session. Thanks, Arpana, for the lovely words. And so let me start the session, and we'll get into what the details are and what this is all about. I'm going to share my screen now. Morning, people. I am so privileged to be right now addressing the students of GL Bajaj Institute. And today I intend going over a kind of training that we give to the corporates. And why is this so? I had a long chat with Arpana, and I got these thoughts of Dr. Ajay on the subject, that there is definitely a, requirement for us to be prepared for what we are getting into when we get to our jobs. And when I say that, I mean the kind of skills that I need to possess as we go ahead. I've named the subject, leaders need to be fillers. Now, what does that actually mean? What do I mean by fillers? And if you get the essence of what we are going to talk about today, I'm going to assure you that you will be a champion when you get to the workplace. The essence of what we are going to do today, and the core of what we are going to talk about today, is that each of us has an invisible bucket. It is constantly emptied or filled depending on what others say or do to us. And when our bucket is full, we feel great. When it's empty, we feel awful. The basic essence of this is what I'm going to decipher for ourselves, because I want to be champions in this particular subject. And before I get into the subject per se, a little about myself. Arpana has already talked about me. Thank you very much for those lovely words. Arpana, besides what she has been talking about, I'm ex-army. I've commanded a regiment in Jammu and Kashmir. I was a master facilitator with Franklin Covey for 6.5 years. Besides that, I like to cycle. I'm an anti-poaching instructor. I visit Burma, West Africa, Thailand for that. And I'm also an independent director of 4 companies. Besides training a lot of young people and leadership in many companies, including the big names. So that much about me, but this session is about you. So let's get to the brass tacks. What's there today? What are we going to talk about today? What we're going to talk about is a factor, and I've only got one slide on that, but it's very essential. The aspect of likability, and I'll talk about it as we come to it. The power of positive psychology for a leader. What are these interactions that we talk about in life? I've got a small story from the military to reinforce the message that we are going to talk about as far as the bucket filling is concerned for a leader. And what is the key to being energized and motivated and happy? We want answers for that. And of course, at the end of it, I'm going to give you a small action plan that if you follow for yourself, you're going to be a successful CEO one day. Since Arpana had talked about addressing the students, I was just scratching my head and trying to decide what is that one single advice that I want to give to people, and Dr. Ajay will bear me out. If I have to say one thing before I start the session, and that's the aspect of likability. When you go as a young person into a company, when you go as a person who doesn't know too much about, have just come out from your GL Bajaj Institute and go join a company, I think that one of the major things that must be in your mind is to become someone who's likable, someone who people want to be interested in, someone who people want to mentor. I say this from my experience in HCL. In fact, Arpana also joined HCL as an intern for some time. And why am I as a leader going to be interested in mentoring you will all depend on you, will all depend on the behavior that you show, will all depend on the kind of person you are. So I got back to this famous book by Dale Carnegie. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People, to make this little slide for you. And this is particularly for this group of young students that we are talking to. And he talked about 6 things that make you a likable person. 6 things that I have to keep in mind, and I need to practice from today. To be the kind of person, if I join a company, that people will want to come and help. Team members would, if they don't like you, they were not going to help you, they not let you grow. So there goes your career planning, and there goes whatever you planned for yourself. So what are these 6 things? They're very basic, but I just kind of want to put it across to you. The first thing is be genuinely interested in other people. don't fake it. And I'm saying this for you to practice from today. Be genuinely interested. When you are asking somebody something about that person, actually stop thinking about anything else in your mind and start listening to that person say what, and be interested. Have a conversation with the other person. Ask the person questions out of that. First, be genuinely interested. Second thing, learn to smile. Learn to smile. Nobody likes a person who's got a smuggy face and is looking very unhappy and disgusted or frustrated and all of that. Learn to smile even if you are not smiling inside. This helps you connect with people. The third thing, and it's very very small thing but very very important, remember that a person's name is the or is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. If you want to talk to somebody, find out the person's name, address that person's by his name. And that's what the leaders do. Number 4, be a good listener. I mean, have this art of stopping to use your mouth as much as you do your ears. That famous thing about we got 2 ears and 1 mouth and all that. Uh, and encourage people to talk so that you listen. The more you listen, the more you learn. The more you keep your mouth shut, the more you will learn, because you're listening to the other people. Number 5, talk in terms of other people's interests. I mean, if you get into the marketing, if you get into an operation, if you get into any side of the corporate world, remember the first thing they're going to tell you is the customer is king, the stakeholders are important. So be interested in all the group of people that we're talking about. And number 6 is make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. If you've got these 6 in place, brothers and sisters, you are going to be a success in your careers, whether it's in the corporate or whether it's in an NGO or government or wherever you want to go. This was my piece of advice to this particular group before we started the session. So don't think that your session is complete with this. Right. So let me go to the next slide. The part which is what we're going to discuss today. So have you ever wondered why productivity in various teams are different? When you go to a company, when you join a company, you will see the productivity differs from team to team. Why you are happy to see some people and not happy to see some others. And also on the personal side, how do you ensure you don't get a divorce after marriage, at least for a reasonable time? What are the answers to these questions is something that we're going to explore as you go along. So a question that I want you to think about is, what is the number one reason that people leave their jobs? A lot of time when I ask this question, the answer comes out, they leave the job because of the boss. I think they're not too far wrong, but the essence of what they are saying is to be understood very well. And that is important for people like you who are going to join companies thereafter. The number one reason why people leave their jobs is when they don't feel appreciated. If I don't appreciate you when you join a company, you will feel apart from the team. You will not feel part of the organization. You'll subsequently get disgruntled, uh, unhappy, and then then you start looking around. And I've got these 10 reasons on the left of the slide. But the essence of this remains that you don't feel appreciated. Now, why am I showing you this slide? I'm showing you this slide because I want you to note that when you go into an organization and you're a leader, you got to keep this in mind. You need to appreciate people around you for whatever value they have providing to you. There was this man called Don Clifton. Now, Don Clifton was in his 1960, 1970. He did a lot of work on positive psychology. And one of the things that came out in his research was that all psychology actually focuses on what's wrong with people. You know, the psychology was being used in the 60s and 70s to find out why people become dacoits, or why do they think unlawful things and stuff like that. So it was basically focusing on what's wrong with human beings. And then he said, hey, wait a minute, Dad. I mean, if I have to study a human being and the psychology behind a human being and how his brain functions, why don't I study why people do the right things? Isn't it more important to find out what's right with people instead of finding out what's wrong with people? Now, what's wrong is the negative side of psychology. What we are talking about is the positive side of psychology. It's very important for a leader, for anybody in an organization to start thinking positively. And then he came up with this concept of interactions. He did a study for about 30 to 40 years before he wrote several books on this subject. And those are the sources that I have for this program. And he came out with this concept that we are built by the interactions that we have with others in our lives, whether it's a professional or whether it's a personal interaction. And we'll go into details of the interaction because you need to realize what this interaction is. How does it make a difference to you and the people around you? So here's Don Clifton, who made the connect between psychology, what is wrong with psychology, and what is the way the psychology should go, and came up with this concept of interactions. So what did he talk about? He says our lives are shaped by interactions, and by that he means any kind of human interaction that you have. In today's date, if you get a message on WhatsApp from a person, a friend of yours, it's an interaction. If you're talking to your mother, it's an interaction. If you're talking to a friend, it's an interaction. If you're going hiring a rickshaw, it's an interaction. You're ordering on Amazon, it's an interaction. You're hiring a Uber, everything that you do is an interaction, and our lives are shaped by these interactions. Now, these interactions could be positive or could be negative. They're rarely neutral. Neutral ones just kind of pass by. You don't even notice them. It doesn't make a difference to you. But either it's a positive interaction or a negative interaction. What am I telling you? We're just trying to understand what these interactions are. And these interactions that we have every day are the ones that affect our lives. They actually build us up. They actually make us. Why is all this important to us? Because we got to understand that once we get into wherever we have to go, we are going to have interactions with people. And then he came up with this concept of bucket and dipper, which I'll describe to you later. This bucket and dipper is such a simple concept, but very profound, very, very powerful. Let's go ahead. So what is this concept? What is this bucket and dipper concept that you have? So Don, described ourselves as buckets. We are all buckets, right? And we have positive interactions and we have negative interactions. And if I'm having a positive interaction with you, your bucket starts getting filled up. Like this particular bucket on the left is getting filled up. 1 second, please. Like this bucket on the left. You have positive, so your bucket is filling up. Now, what happens if your bucket is full, is getting filled up? If you have a full bucket of positive interactions, you are enthusiastic, you're passionate, you're energetic, you're generous, you're creative, you're caring, you're playful. All the positive emotions that come out of you, you have because you're full of positive interactions. Your bucket is full. If you have, let's say, half a bucket full, then you're normal. You're neither very positive nor very negative. Things are. But the saddest bit is if your bucket is empty. That means you've had a lot of negative interactions with people. All your water has come out. Oh, then you're going to be sad, you're going to be angry, you're going to be critical, you're going to be revengeful, you're going to be unhappy, you're going to be aggressive. You're basically going to become a negative person if your bucket is empty, right? Now I'm trying to simplify the whole concept. But the crux of the matter is, some days we are full, some days we are empty, some days we are half, some days we are three-fourth. It's not a constant. It's not key you're always full or you're always empty. It kind of varies. But the more interesting bit is this dipper, kullad, kullad. Now this dipper is shaped in a very peculiar way. It has two of these cups. So if I have an interaction with you and a positive interaction, let's say I come to you and say, oh, wow, this dress is looking very nice on you. Oh, what have I done? I've put a little positive interaction into you, a little positive water into you. I filled your bucket. But the moment I fill your bucket, what happens with the cup behind is it fills my bucket. As I fill your bucket, my bucket is also getting full. So if I want to remain positive, I don't have to go anywhere. I have to go to you, make a positive interaction with you, and it's going to make a positive interaction to me. It's as simple as that. Now, you flip the whole concept. If I am the kind of person who's taking out water from your bucket, that means I'm making a negative interaction with you. The moment I take a negative interaction out of you, what happens to my bucket is it also gets drained out. It also gets slightly lesser. I'm a bucket, you're a bucket, and we both have dippers in our hands. The kind of interaction we have amongst us will decide whether our buckets are getting full or whether they're going down in emptiness. Remember this concept of bucket and dipper because I'm going to refer to it throughout the program. I don't even have to ask you how full your bucket should be. It should be absolutely full, but we'll come to that. Okay, what percentage of professionals received no recognition in the workplace last year? This is a few years back. This data is from a few years back, but things may not be very different today. If you have a rough guess of people not being recognized, the figure is about 62%. That means 62% people in the workplace did not get recognition. This is a fantastic figure. Can you imagine a person is going around never being appreciated? What kind of a productivity do you expect out of this person? We'll also discuss that a little later. But this is absolutely atrocious. 62% people not being recognized in the workplace. Be ready for that in case you're going to join companies. There might be times when you're not recognized for the things that you do. So be ready for that. I promised you a story from the military. And why am I talking about the story from the military? Because this entire concept of positive psychology has its roots into these kind of stories that I'm going to tell you. And this story is about the Korean War. Now, the Korean War was fought between the US and its allies on one side, and North Korea and China on the other side. This here is the map, and those of you who are interested in history would know that there was a Korean War in between 1950 and 1953, in which over 4 million people died. Over 4 million people died in this. But there's one aspect of the story of the Korean War that interests us in the subject that we're discussing today, and that story is about the prisoners of war. Now the North Koreans got a lot of these Americans. The battle was going north and going south, and the Americans would win, and then the Chinese would push back, and so there was a lot of prisoners of war who were caught by the North Koreans. After the war, when the prisoners of war were exchanged, they discovered that 38% of the US prisoners of war had died in the North Korean camps. When they are prisoners of war, they're kept in very, very bad camps, and they're not treated well. But surprisingly, 38% was a very, very high figure. Out of 100 people, 38 had died. But very interestingly, at least for this psychologist, this guy called Major William Mayer, who was the army psychiatrist who actually did the study over 1,000 POWs, and he found out that in these prisoners of war camps, there were no cruelty. They were not maltreated too badly. I mean, they were not treated too badly. There were no barbed wires around the camps. There were not even armed guards, and no one tried to escape. And this is very surprising, at least for a military person like me. Our orders are very clear. If you're caught by the enemy, it's your bound duty to escape. You have to try and escape. But here there were no escapes. And then when they were rescued, and a lot of them were told that, why don't you ring up your families? Why don't you get in touch with your loved ones? Most of them did not even want to talk to the families. They were so brainwashed. And it's interesting to see how these guys are brainwashed. And that's the key that we want to take ahead in our leadership session today. So what happened to these prisoners? Why did they die so badly? And what is this? Why not interested in, meeting anybody? So there they discovered that the North Koreans had used the ultimate weapon of war. And that was to do with the brainwashing of these Americans. The Americans, POWs, acquired a disease called marasmus. And this name is for a disease of extreme hopelessness, passivity, no motivation, positive or negative. Now, can you imagine you're a soldier one day, all motivated, and then you become a prisoner, and then you catch this disease called marasmus, which is a disease of hopelessness. How did they do it? And that's the interesting bit that we want to look at. So then what did the North Koreans do? They got these prisoners together and they actually emptied their buckets. They emptied the buckets. They denied the soldiers the emotional support that comes from interpersonal relationships. How did they do that? And as future leaders, you have to see the reasons, because if you see these kind of things happening around you, you have to recognize this is part of negative psychology that you got to be careful does not happen in any organization, whether it's a educational institution or whether it's a corporation or it's the government. What did they do? They broke these people down. First, they rewarded snitching. That means, let's say you and me are in the same prison and you do something, you're planning an escape, let's say. What do? I go to the North Korean guy and tell him, hey, that guy, Surinder, he's planning to escape. So, oh, yeah, you told us. Very good, very good. Here's a piece of bread loaf for you as a reward. So here people are encouraged to snitch on the other. Now the word snitching has been made famous by Al Pacino in his movie Scent of a Woman, where in the last lecture, if some of you guys interested in that or you already seen it, you must listen to that particular lecture given by Al Pacino at the end of the movie called Scent of a Woman. And he describes this thing called snitching. It's the worst thing that you can do is snitch on your own buddies to the enemy. So they encourage snitching. Now, खाना पीना बहुत कम था इनका, तो आपको एक ब्रेड का पीस मिल जाए वही बहुत है. तो लोग ना एक दूसरे की चुगली करते थे. That is one thing that they encouraged. And interestingly, when you went and snitched about somebody, they did not do anything to the other person also, and let the other person know that इसने तेरे बारे में आके बताया. So what this did was they broke the bonds between people and emptied their buckets. The second thing that they did was called self-criticism. They used to have a session in the evening and they used to bring some people on top of the podium, and you were expected to confess to all the wrongs that you've done in life. That तुमने बचपन में क्या किया था, तुमने आर्मी में क्या किया था, what did you do when you were in college, and all the wrong things that you've done, you have to confess. The moment you start confessing the people, and who are you actually confessing to your own buddies? and you're telling them, I used to be a thief, I used to, beat up my wife, or I did this wrong, I did that, and people are looking at you and say, "Kaisa kamina aadmi hai yaar? What kind of a guy is this yaar?" So what does that do? It really brings in disdain for you, standing there confessing all the things, and then you have to tell them what I could have done at that opportunities, and they're all thinking, what an idiot this guy is. So what are you again doing? You are increasing the negativity in people for you, taking it out. The third thing that they did is they broke the loyalty to the leadership and the country. There was a famous story about in this camp was about a colonel, and they were in the fields, doing some work. One of the soldiers, he started drinking water from the paddy field. So the colonel told him, "Hey, listen, why don't you don't drink this? Yeah, you get ill. Tu ye pee mat pani, ye ganda pani hai." And this guy turned around and told him, "Tu kaun hai? Teri auqat kya hai? You are a prisoner like me." The colonel was so hurt, and he couldn't even complain to anybody. And the North Korean was very happy. Ah, or bol. And in that particular story, that colonel committed suicide after 2 days. He was so shattered by this experience. So they encourage these kind of things to happen amongst themselves, breaking the bonds between them. And the fourth thing that they did was they withheld any emotional support coming from the outside. That means all the letters, all the parcels that used to come used to be vetted by these people, right? And if you had a letter telling you, "Oh, your kid has done very well, he's come first in class," or something like that, they would tear the letter up and throw it away. If it is a letter saying that, what, your brother got caught by the police and he was in prison for 3 days, is a letter from his mother, they would give it to him. Then any bills coming from there, कि इसका bill payment नहीं आया, इसका ये, any negative information, they would give it to the person. Any positive, they would tear it away. They just broke the bond of emotional support. This lesson is from a war. And this lesson is out of the POWs that we're talking about. The four things that they applied was informing on each other, self-criticism, breaking loyalty to the leadership and country, and withholding any emotional support. What that did was, it really, made their buckets empty. And people just died. People just gave up. When you give up hope, you go. Now, these lessons were taken by Dawn, taken ahead to build his case as far as uh, positive psychology is concerned. And the case study of the POWs of Korean Wars brought out the importance of emotional support required by humans. We all are humans. We are not machines. And we need that emotional support that we give to each other. These interactions that we're talking about. So he thought to himself, if negativity has such an impact, can positivity have an even stronger impact than negativity? And that's when he came up with the concept of the bucket and the dipper. The bucket and the dipper. So just think about it. How many individual positive or negative movements do you have? Do we experience every day? Every day. Is it 100? Is it 1,000? Is it 10,000? Is it 20,000? And the answer to it, this question is, we have an average of 20,000 interactions. 20,000 interactions. That's huge. I mean, every second counts. That means whatever we are doing throughout our day, a part of the interactions that we're talking about. So we experience interactions every day. Negativity will erode our well-being and productivity. Fortunately, positive experiences are far more powerful. And these lessons came out of the study that was done on the prisoners of war in the Korean War. So here you see the strong guy on the right. He's the positive guy. He's pretty strong. Yeah, you got to think about that. As far as the workplace is concerned, what kind of people can scare away every customer they speak with for good? What kind of people do you think scares away the customer? The answer to this is a negative minded employee. A negative minded employee. I mean, when you join the workplace, even in your colleges, look around you, and who would you go to when you have spare time? You want to talk to somebody. Who would you go to? You'd like to go to somebody who's positive, who's smiling, who's talking, who's energetic, who's passionate, positive. But you in a workplace, you will find a lot of people who are very negative minded. ये भी ठीक नहीं है, वो भी ठीक नहीं है, वो भी गंदा है, मेरा boss तो बेकार है. That kind of those kind of negative minded employees, they affect the productivity of the organization. They also pollute the area that they're in, and increase the number of people who are thinking that way. Very famously, people say if you have a negative minded person in your team, give him money and tell him to stay at home. That's much better than the person coming to you and spoiling the environment and reducing the productivity of the place. Great recognition and praise can transform a workplace. We've been talking about interactions, we've been talking about bucket and dipper. So here comes the aspect of what we are needed to do as leaders in the workplace, and that is the power of recognition and praise that we talk about. And as far as the organizations are concerned, uh, bucket filling, how does it help? How does praise and recognition help? It helps in improving productivity. It increases the engagement of your employees. Uh, the customers are happier. No one wants to leave an organization which has praise and recognition as part of their ethos. And the safety records also go up. What I'm saying is, if you have a positive environment created within your teams in the organizations, you have such a lot of advantage which will directly affect the profitability of that organization, and also increase the level of bonding that you have within the teams. And how much money does it take? It doesn't take too much. Recognition and praise, very, very important. So here's a story of a guy called Ken. He was a CEO of a very big company who had various locations. They were in Delhi, they were in Bombay, they were in Hyderabad, Bangalore. And Ken was the boss. Ken was the managing director, the CEO actually, MD and CEO. And you know what he used to do? He used to travel a lot. He used to go to his locations at various places. But he never went there to spy on them or see what the upper management was doing or find out their reports, because he could do that sitting in Delhi. He could do that from here. He didn't need to go there physically. But he used to go there to fill buckets. All he used to do is to go and fill buckets. How did he do it? So he would travel to a location. Let's say he goes to Bangalore, and he would find out, okay, who's had a good news in the past month? Some guy has run a marathon. Some guy has had a baby. Some guy has completed his MBA. Some person has done extraordinary work with a customer. So he used to find out these success stories, and then he used to land up there, and he used to go to the desk of that person. I mean, it was all planned, of course. The in charge there in Bangalore would know boss is coming and he wants to meet Nitin, or he wants to meet Shreya, or he wants to meet Arpana, let's say. Okay. And then he would go to the desk, and then he would, have a conversation with the person and says, I'm so happy you had a baby girl in the last month, and I hope the mother and baby is all right. I hope everything is okay at home. What are you doing here? Why don't you go home? Give company to your wife, and what that did to that guy is out of the blue. I mean, CEO's coming and he's asking about his daughter, and he's asking about the marathon they've run or the education that they've done. And what that used to do is, energize that person. And what does an energized person do? He goes and, energizes the other people. So you have one person energizing everybody. So यार boss आया था, उसने मेरे बारे में पूछा, यार बंदा ठीक है यार, मतलब मजा आ गया यार. So here's people listening to the story and saying, "Arey wow, yaar, matlab, at least we are as human beings, we are valued. The boss came and he did this. Wow, man. So Ken became such a popular leader, and people used to wait कि Ken कब आएगा यार, कब यहाँ भी रौनक चलेगी, कब हमें भी जलेबी मिलेगी. So Ken never went there to find out the sales numbers. Ken never went there for operational discussions. He could have done that over the Zoom or over the telecall that he had. He went to energize people. He went, and this is a lesson for all of you today. Before you join organizations and before you become leaders, recognizing people, appreciating people energizes them, fills their bucket. I'm coming again to that same concept of filling the bucket. I fill your bucket, you will go and fill somebody else's bucket. And it's going to fill buckets all over the workplace. And that's the important lesson I want you to remember as we go along. So remember Ken, the CEO who used to fill buckets. On the flip side, on the other side is, how do you kill productivity? How do you kill productivity? Mat prashansa karo logon ki. Don't praise them. The first thing that's going to happen to them is they're going to be disengaged. Ki bhaad mein jao. And the moment you have that, you have disgruntled people who are negative in their outlook. And that's the best way to kill productivity. So if you have in your mind, yeah, I'm giving them money and they're supposed to work and that's it, you forget that you're dealing with human beings, not with AI. With human beings, you have to be empathic. You have to realize what motivates them. You have to learn how to motivate them. And today's lesson is going to take you a hell of a long way ahead. If you remember it, if you look at everybody as a bucket and remember you have a dipper in your hand and it's mufat mein, free mein, positivity or negativity in your workplace. And that little thing that I told you before, for productivity, it's better for the organization to tell the negative people to stay at home. कि boss तुम तो घर ही रहो, आने की जरूरत नहीं है. Problem है एक, there's a problem, and the problem is the tale of recognition. See, I want to be recognized by my boss. My boss, I'll be very goody with the boss. Sir, क्या करूं sir आपके लिए बताओ ना. But the moment I have my team members, the reportees, मेरा दिमाग खराब हो जाता है. I refuse to recognize whatever they do. This is unfortunately a problem. In most cultures, Indian culture में कुछ ज़्यादा ही है कुछ, कि बॉस का पूरा ध्यान रखो, पर ये जो है, ये जो रिपोर्टी है, इसकी बैंड बजाओ. So this doesn't help anyone. We talk about productivity. Who's going to do the productivity? You? No, the guy who's working is under you. And if you don't pass on the recognition to the team members, believe me, they are going to be looking for a new boss in another organization. So be careful. We have yet to find someone who suffers from over recognition. आप किसी की तारीफ करो ना, वो बहुत खुश होगा. आप करते रहो और खुश हो जाएगा. वो नहीं बोलेगा सर बहुत हो गया, आज का कोटा खत्म हो गया. No one's going to say that. Managers spreading positive emotions will see the difference immediately. I say, next day, you will have results. So remember the recognition that you give people. And the first thing that I gave you a slide of 6 points that Dale Carnegie has told you about becoming a likable person. Don't ever forget that. And remember that bucket dipper. मैं बार-बार बोल रहा हूँ ये. I was working at HCL and Arpana was also there at that time that we were talking about. And I had a leader. I was looking out at the training for 3 different verticals in HCL Infosystems. I had a leader who used to come in to the office. He used to be looking down and ऐसे चल के अपने ऑफिस में घुस जाता था. ऐसे कट करके अपने ऑफिस में घुस जाता था. And I just come out from the army and I said, what kind of a leader is this? Because, वो लीडर का काम क्या है बॉस? जब आओ और आप बंदों को देखो ऐसे देखो, आपको पता चल जाना चाहिए कि किसके बकेट में कितना पानी है. और वो only you can make out if you are looking at the people. कोई बहुत खुश नजर आ रहा है कि हाँ, this guy has got a full bucket. Good. कोई बंदा ऐसे बैठा हुआ है, वो बड़ी उदास है यार बहुत, इसका बकेट थोड़ा कम है। कोई ऐसा बैठा इसके लगता है कि गर्लफ्रेंड इसको छोड़ के चली गई है। ये देखो ये बंदा ये बैठा हुआ है, बिल्कुल ही मतलब सूखा हुआ है। ये आई गो टू मेक आउट, and the moment I make out as a leader, I go across to this guy and say, brother क्या हुआ, इतना उदास क्यों लग रहा है तू? I can only do that if I have the leader's eye. And what does the leader's eye do? The leader's eye sees the people as buckets and sees how much of water there is. And everybody transmits कि मेरे bucket में कितना पानी है, पता चल जाता है आपको। वो है लीडर का काम। आप लीडर की आंखें रखो और देखो कि आप ये प्रैक्टिस अपने, you can start the practice in your educational institution also. You go in, look around, be interested in people. Look, and look from the point of view of bucket. Khali bucket, full bucket, आधा bucket, 75%, 66.3%, whatever. Make up your mind. You got to be a leader. I told you there were 20,000 moments that there are, and each is just a few seconds. You could have a positive or a negative interaction. A single interaction can change your life. A single interaction can change your life. आप में से सभी याद रखेंगे वो एक पल जो आपकी जिंदगी का जिसमें made a difference. Let me share one with you. I cannot forget the time that I was outside the hospital wing where my wife was there. My elder daughter was being born. And I was pacing outside like a good father in military hospital, in base hospital, Delhi. And the moment the nurse came and told me that my daughter was born, that moment I'll never forget. It changed my life, you know. Suddenly from a lavender, I became a father. So from a non-father, I became a father. So that moment, I mean, all of you have those moments. When you first met somebody, or the first day in GL Bajaj institution, whatever, in your experience. Arpana very well remembers the day she got married. We'll talk about that separately. So everyone has those moments which change their lives, and each moment counts. If you ask people, who would you rather be with, positive people or negative people? And 99% people say, I want to be around positive people. In most cultures, you are told what is wrong and not praised, unfortunately. But everybody wants to be around positive people. Socho, this is a report card of your nephew or niece. The moment the report card comes in front of us, now your niece has got in English 86%, Hindi 82%, Maths 91%, Physics 89%, Chemistry 45%, and Physical Training 90%. How many parents would tell the child, "Arey wow, beta, I'm very happy you've done good in English, Hindi, Maths, Physics, and Physical Training"? Most eyes will go here, unfortunately. Beta, chemistry में क्या हो गया? I mean, ये देखो ना, ये बच्चे ने कितना अच्छा यहाँ किया. That visibility goes for a 6, and you are like, you know, focusing on the failure bit. 45%. क्या हुआ chemistry में? This is unfortunately a problem, but that's the kind of culture we are in right now. Now, if you take this analogy into your workplace, you're hired for a job and then expected to fit in, to change to fit into the job. You're hired for a role. When you reach there, you say, no, ऐसा करते हैं कि तुम ना ये काम कर लो या ये काम कर लो, कहीं और भेज देंगे आपको. And the entire training and appraisal systems in an organization are focused on the weakness-based approach. That means your manager is going to tell the bosses कि boss, you know, ये सुजीत है ना, इसका communication ठीक नहीं है, या ये अनिल है ना, इसका जो presentation ठीक नहीं है. Boss, उसका presentation ठीक नहीं होगा, वो कुछ और काम में अच्छा होगा. Where are you focusing on? You got to be clear. If I focus on your positive talents, I can take you from 1 to 10. But if I focus on your negative aspects, I can only take you from 1 to 1.5. Where do you want to invest your money in? You got to decide. And that's why we have complementary teams where each person complements his talent with the other person. If I'm a technical guy and very good technically, but I can't communicate, then when I go to meet a client, send with me somebody who can communicate instead of trying to make me good in communication. I'm very good in technical. So use my talents that way. There was an experiment done of disengagement in a workplace. They had 3 categories of managers doing their roles over a period of, I think, 3 weeks or something. One set of managers focused on the strength of the employees. The other set of managers focused on the weakness of the employee. ये भी खराब है तेरे में, ये भी खराब है, ये भी खराब है. पहले वाला बोल रहा तुम इसमें भी अच्छा है, good, इसमें भी अच्छा है, इसमें भी अच्छा है. The third category was managers who absolutely ignored the employees. मतलब कुछ feedback ही नहीं देना. The result that I'm flashing in front of you is in the managers who focused on the strength of the employees, there was only 1% disengagement on the job. Nobody wanted to leave that particular team. In the one that focused on the weaknesses, there was 22% disengagement of the job. That means 22% people wanted to leave that. कुछ नहीं हो, ये मेरे को गालियां देता रहता है. But the third, interestingly, the third group, where the manager did not give any feedback, he absolutely ignored the employees. 40% of the people wanted to leave. The lesson is, give a feedback for God's sake, whether it's positive or negative. Don't ignore the person. The worst you can do to your employees, to the people around you in the team, is ignore them. And that brings up the biggest amount of disengagement that you can possibly have. Feel the buckets. Positive हो, positive तो बहुत बढ़िया है. Negative ही कर लो, पर तुम कुछ ना करोगे, तो there'll be 40% disengagement, which is bad. There was another experiment done. I'm talking about interactions, and I'm talking about positive and negative interactions. John Gottman did a study for over 2 decades, 20 years. And he used to see couples when they used to start having a disagreement, a fight. And they used to be observing them for about 15 minutes only. And in those 15 minutes, this guy predicted which couples are going to stay together in the next 10 years or which couples are going to be divorced by just an interaction of 15 minutes. And surprisingly, the couples who had 5 positive interactions against 1 negative, he predicted will have happy marriages. And they did have happy marriages. His predictions were 92% correct. 5 positive to 1 negative. The people who had 1 positive and 1 negative interaction in their time of discussion or argument or fight, he predicted, and they did get divorced. So he came up with this figure, this ratio, that the minimum you should have is 3 positives to 1 negative interaction. And the maximum you should have is 13:1. That means 13 positive to 1 negative. Isse beyond jaoge to you'll become a fraud. That means you don't say anything negative to the person is also not very good. The ideal combination is 5 positives to 1 negative. What am I talking about? Relationships. Relationships. Professional and personal. Now, what does positivity bring to you? What are the advantages of positivity? It buffers us against adverse health effects and depressions. If you have filling bucket going on, and increases your lifespan by 10 years, 10 years. While negative interactions damaging results of stress, anger, and hostility on the mind and the body. That means you will die 10 years before the guy who's actually been having a positive interaction and filling the buckets. How many people out of 10 say they are more productive when they are around positive people? And the answer, we've already discussed this, is 9 out of 10 people say that they want to be around positive people. I like to be around with positive people. Now, some people are naturally happy. It's like, the body type. Some people वो कितना भी खा लें वो thin ही रहते हैं. And some people like me, I have a little something also, it goes and sits in my belly. It's just nature. So naturally, a lot of people are happy, and naturally, a lot of people are not happy. But that does not mean that you stop being trying to become happy. Stop filling the buckets. So this concept of filling the buckets must continue. You got a dipper in your hand to decide whether you want to be a positive person or a negative person. Just remember that. Naturally, some people are positive, and naturally, some people are negative. That's a given. But beyond that, even the negative people can become positive people if they work hard on applying this concept in real life, and go apply it in your workplace, in your personal house. When you go home today, you got to apply it. And when you do this positive interaction, make it personal, individualized, specific, deserving. Don't just give it to everybody. Or you're also looking good, you're also looking good, you're also looking. It doesn't work out. You got to be very specific in the recognition of this. Good. Here's why I come to action plan as far as you are concerned. How to become a great leader by increasing positive emotions. Action plan for you. The first strategy that you have to apply in your life is to stop bucket dipping. आपने आज से डिसाइड करना है कि मैं नेगेटिव इंटरेक्शन नहीं करूंगा, नहीं करूंगी. You got to consciously eliminate the negative. किसी को बुरा भला बोलना ही नहीं है, अच्छाई ढूंढनी है. And as you do this, please track your progress as you go along. Every day you should sit down and think, आज मैंने किस किस का बकेट फिल किया. और जैसे जैसे आप सोचोगे वैसे वैसे आपका बकेट भी फिल हो जाएगा. And that don't ever forget the magic ratio 5:1. 5 positives to 1 negative. That's the ratio you are, and I need to keep. So the first strategy is prevent bucket dipping. The second strategy is shine a light on what is right. You remember the Ken story I told you? ये जो CEO जाता था और सबके buckets fill करके आ जाता था. उसका बस वही काम था. CEO था, boss था, but लोग wait करते थे कि ये कब आएगा. All you have to do is fill the buckets of some people around you, who will then fill the buckets of people around you, and generally the environment will be full of full buckets. Ken Blanchard in his trainings insists on celebrating what is being done right in your workplace. Anyone who does the right thing, you have to exaggerate it and you have to celebrate it. That's how you fill the buckets of people around you. सोने से पहले, ask yourself this positive impact test questions. I got 15 of them in front of you, and I'm going to read them for you. I've helped someone in the last 24 hours. I'm an exceptionally courteous person. I like being around positive persons. I've praised someone in the last 24 hours. I've developed a knack of other people feeling good. I'm more productive when I'm around positive people. In the last 24 hours, I've told someone I've cared about him or her. I make it a point to be acquainted with people wherever I go. When I receive recognition, it makes me want to give recognition to someone else. In the last week, I have listened to someone talk through his or her goals and ambitions. I make unhappy people laugh. I make it a point to call each of my associates by name he or she likes to be called. I notice what my colleagues do at a level of excellence. I always smile at people I meet. I feel good about giving praise when I see good behavior. This is what defines you. These are the answers to these questions are what are going to make you or break you in your careers. So just remember that. आज से ही आदत डाल लो. Third strategy, make best friends. One of the studies done on people who do not want to leave organizations, and one of the findings was that the people who make best friends in their workplaces are the ones who don't want to leave that place. In fact, look forward to come to the organization. There are organizations which encourage social bonding amongst the employees. There are other organizations which don't want anybody to have anything to do with the others. You have differing organizations, but the moment you start to make some connections, personal connections in the workplace, the more you want to go and be there because you like going to the workplace and working there. I go to a lot of companies, and when I go to companies, I can see this aspect coming out. In fact, in one of the companies where I went, and I told one of the guys before the lunch break, I said, "Hey, why don't you come with me, man? Let's have lunch together." I said, "No, sir, lunch to मैं सुनील के साथ ही करता हूँ. Every day we have lunch together and we exchange lunches. I cannot, sir, pardon me, but I have to go to Sunil." I said, "Okay, great." Therefore, it motivates me to come and be productive and be happy and be positive if I have friends in my organization. Practice abhi se hi karni hai aap log ne. Strategy 4, give unexpectedly. If you have a birthday, if you have an anniversary, then you are expecting a gift. But you go to your workplace and you give a gift to a team member unexpectedly. Whether you do it professionally or whether you do it personally. You have a girlfriend and you unexpectedly give her a set of roses, let's say. That'd be unexpected. I mean, the happiness is much larger if you give unexpectedly. Make it a habit. Don't be very predictable. Strategy 5. The golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. मैं फिर से पढ़ता हूँ. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But there is a platinum rule, which is ahead of the golden rule. And that says, do unto others as they would have you do unto them. To find out how they want to be treated by you and then treat them accordingly requires such a high level of empathy. It's amazing. It's nearly impossible. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them. It's called individualizing the bucket filling that we're talking about, the positive interaction that we're talking about. So when you have a conversation, this is more to do with your workplace, but I'll kind of read it very fast. The kind of conversations you should be having with people in your team is, by what name would you like to be called? What are your hot buttons, hobbies, interests that you would like to talk about? What increases your positive emotions or fills your bucket? For whom do you most like to receive recognition? From whom? What type of recognition or praise do you like? Do you like it public, private, verbal, written, or any kind of recognition? What form of recognition motivates you more? Do you like gift certificates, a title, meaningful note, or something else? And what is the greatest recognition you have received? That means you find out about people around in your organization to find out what actually constitutes bucket filling for them, and then fill their buckets. That makes more sense, individualization. I would have shown you a video, but the video doesn't play well in Zoom. So I'm going to just show you this slide of a very good little video. It's called Life Vest Inside, Kindness Boomerang. It's on YouTube, so you got to see it. There's a song by Matas Seau. It's called One Day, and it's a beautiful number. And I recommend you guys go and see the video. But what does the video show? The video shows, and as you see the video, you got to analyze your own feelings. How are you feeling watching this? What does the video do? The video shows you first a workman helping a small child who's fallen from the skateboard. Some of you must have seen this, I'm sure. This little child goes to help a old lady cross the road. That old lady helps a young lady in the parking, gives her some change or something. That young lady helps another gentleman whose wallet had fallen off. This guy goes to help a workman taking out a suitcase. And the guy over the suitcase helps a homeless guy with a hamburger. The hamburger guy helps a young lady whose phone had fallen off. This young lady helps a middle-aged lady with some flowers, and this lady helps the waitress with a good tip, and that waitress goes and helps the same guy with a glass of water who had helped the small child in the skateboard. Now, as you watch this video, you go to analyze your own emotions and you're feeling good about it. I mean, when I see someone filling the bucket of somebody else, my bucket also gets filled up. I feel good about it. It's so powerful. These positive interactions are so powerful. Must see this. I've given you the the place where you'll find it. 1 second, please. So how would this session benefit you? In 1 year, you'll have more friends. Your colleagues and customers are going to be more satisfied and engaged. You will enjoy closer relationship with your family and friends. You'll be healthier, happier, and well on your way for a longer life. This is what is going to take place. Thank you all for listening and filling my bucket. And in the end, what we have normally as a drill that I do is I give a salute like Spock: live long and prosper. So I would like you to switch on your videos and give me the signal of live long and prosper. Arpita madam, aise. Arpita madam, aise. 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 I can see some of you coming on. Abhishek, Dr. Arvind, I can't see your hand. Like this, like this. Hey, you students, where are you? तुम लोगों से होता नहीं. अच्छा, students are not allowed. हाँ. Amit, very good. Well done. Sony, this like this. Yeah, like this.
Yeah, students can switch on their video. They can also do so.
Yeah, you are going to do this, man. Hey, you guys are sleeping, यार. इससे पता चलता है कितने सोए हुए हैं और कितने जागे हुए हैं. इससे पता चलता है. Robinson is sleeping. Risha is also sleeping.
Students, please switch on your videos.
Everybody switch on your video and start writing a question in the chat box. We are done with the session.
But I can't see this. Only Sony has done it and Harsh has done it. Harsh Pratap, teri daadi
Yeah,
bahut
many
achhi
of them
lagi.
are there now.
Yes, good. Prashant, very good. Ekta, very good. Ankita, very good. I can see the faculty is very good. They are doing it. Dilip, you. Yes, Dilip, thank you. Better. Live long and prosper. Amit ने बहुत अच्छा किया हुआ है. Amit, I'm happy with you. Ekansh is also good. Shreyansh is good. Very good. बाकी सब तो मेरे को लगता है ऑन करके चले गए हैं. ऐसे पता चलता है ना. Lavi is there. Good. Lavi like this. Shivanshi like this. All right.
We have few questions in the chat box. Alok Kumar. So quite a long question, so I need to read it. My question is, you talked about make people like you, but we are at the competitive stage and it is difficult most of the time to maintain such attitude like a situation reaction test. So how we cope up with the situation to grow and without affecting others' growth? Situation reaction test.
Where is Alok?
Alok, you can unmute yourself, I think.
Alok, unmute. हाँ, क्या हो गया ये? Which situation test are you going through?
Sir, it is just like, for example, we are in a competitive age, and after joining in a corporate, we can affect others also, and we cannot make others like you, just as you said. So how we can cope with such a situation?
Are you talking about the entry point or are you talking about?
Yes, sir. I am talking about the entry point.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, when you have a situation test or a group discussion where you see a lot of people shouting and trying to, put in a word for themselves, believe me, the people who are watching you are very mature. They know exactly what's going on and who's trying to make a noise and who's actually talking sense amongst you. So in a situation test or a group discussion, when you got to keep your cool and enter the discussion with a very positive statement. In fact, if there's somebody who's shouting, you might refer to that person and says, all right, Sadhana has said this, but I'd like to add this. Because the person watching you is looking at the maturity that you have. जितना आप जोर से shout करोगे, it doesn't mean that you're going to pass the exam. I mean,
Yes, sir.
you don't have to become Arnab Goswami to pass these exams. You,
Yes, sir.
in fact, I think your faculty might be taking some sessions on how to give interviews and all that. And part of that will be group discussions. In the more likable you are, the more people are going to give you a chance to speak. The more people hate your face, the more they will try and drown you with their voices. It's how you connect with people around you that will decide whether you are even given a chance to say something in a group discussion or a situation test. So, thoda sa, I mean, don't get bogged down by what you see around you or some people might tell you. But the thing is, the person observing you is pretty matured, right?
Yes, sir.
And they know what they're looking for. And the moment they see someone like you who's stable, calm, and putting the point assertively, not aggressively, those are the kind of people they want. Assertiveness, not aggressiveness. Assertive is likable. Aggressive is not likable. Yeah, look,
Yes, sir.
मैं
Yes,
देख
sir.
रहा हूँ तू जिम
Thank you,
में
sir.
जाता है थोड़ा बॉडी वॉडी बनाई हुई तूने डोंट
No,
वरी यू विल
no,
पास
sir. Actually,
no you don't go to gym
no, sir. I used to work out just as just the whole my routine related to the just like a army because I was preparing for SSBs also. That's why I
you
am giving six.
you report to me separately
Sure, sir. I have given 6 attempts till now. That's why.
oh three then we'll find another
Thank you,
job
sir.
for you hey thanks
Thank you,
Alok
sir.
thanks a lot
So
yeah
Rishabh is also there. He wants to ask how to maintain the balance. If in case we are suggesting someone in negative situation to be positive, so how, because it's quite difficult time and person may just think that he just want to say and that's why he's saying that be positive. But I'm really into this worst situation, negative situation. How to maintain this balance to fill the bucket?
oh the question is on the right
Yes, it's in chat
uh,
box.
the Rishabh ka question hai na as we discussed we have to
Yes.
so it may be positive but if we are certain positive to a person in a negative situation it may work but if not it will be fake the only person you can affect in life is yourself all right and if somebody is being negative towards you or you continue being positive believe me if not today tomorrow and all your faculty will tell you it's your positivity which will win the day subsequently don't think of it tactically think of it strategically I'm a military man so don't think of just the present moment but think of it as an investment in relationship one of the things that we do in our trainings is teach people how to become trustworthy about relationships of trust and in that we have situations where I don't trust somebody or somebody doesn't trust me uh, even besides that how do I earn the trust of the people around me and one of the things that we insist on saying is all starts with you you are the center of your own universe you got to decide whether you want to be a positive person or a negative person continue on that score there's no
Okay, thank you, sir.
denying it hey Rishabh thank you gm
Thank you.
19145 I
Can
can't see your
Rishabh,
face
can you switch on your video?
ऋषभ अपनी शक्ल दिखा दे यार
Yeah.
तभी ये ऑन नहीं कर रहा था बाल बना ले कभी
Many of them are there at home, so that's why they want to be there in a comfort zone.
नहीं
Video of
इसको एक गिफ्ट देना है मैंने ये ऋषभ तेरे लिए
Okay, sir. Thank
One
you.
question from my end on behalf of the students that they are right now in the summer internship project and somewhat partially they are working with an organization. Right now, being at the position of intern, how they can show their leadership skills? What are the different areas that they can find out that there they can show their leadership skills?
tough question है The only thing they can do is be generally very hard in performing what they're expected to perform. These are tough times, and if you get an opportunity to show how good you are in your job, please take that as grab that opportunity and make it a success. If you've been given a certain time to do it, make sure it's done in time. Make sure the quality is world class. Make sure the other person knows how much work you put into it, and that work must speak for itself. Right now, you're actually the bottom of the ladder as far as the organization is concerned. You're an intern, man. Intern का मतलब वो बिल्कुल ही bottom portion में आप. But being there also, I as a leader or in an organization might be looking at my interns to see potential किस में है. Who should I kind of get into my organization? So to prove your worth is what leadership would say you should be doing right now. And to prove your worth, you do your work to the best of your ability. You produce quality. You have the best kind of communication. अगर आपको कोई काम दिया हो तो अपडेट देते रहो जिसने भी आपको काम दिया है. बातें करो, उनको बताओ कि क्या है. अगर कोई डाउट है तो पूछो. जितना आप इंटरेक्शन करोगे लोगों के साथ उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की, उतने आप उनको पता चला कि ये बंदा अच्छा काम कर रहा है, ये बंदी काम कर रही है. And that's the kind of leadership I want to see in my interns when they come in. That's the important thing. Yeah, Arpana.
Very true. So, any more question? If any
more
question
questions?
are there, you can write in the chat box. Faculty members, if any question, you can also ask. So I think already the session was quite enthralling. And thank you so much for the bucket filling theory, sharing with all of us and enlightening us with all the knowledge and enriched our knowledge as well. So thank you so much once again, Colonel Vijay. And due to some medical emergency, Director Sir had to leave in between the session. So yeah. So thank you so much once again. And I would be definitely looking for a stronger association in future as well. Thank you so much for sparing your valuable time. And we also pay sincere thanks to our director, Dr. Ajay Kumar, for organizing this session. Thank you all the faculty members and the students for being active and energetic.
Thank you all.
So
Thank you all.
much.
Dr.
Thank you, sir.
Ajay, thank you, Arpana, and thank you all the faculty. I can see all of them. And I am sure they're going to get me for coffee after the COVID thing goes off. Then I can have with Dr. Akhilesh in the evening something else also. मेरे को लग रहा है Dr. Akhilesh is okay.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys.
sir.
Thank you.
Jai Hind, sir. Jai Hind.
जय हिंद. जय हिंद कौन बोल रहा है? Robin.
Robin, yes.
Robin बेटा जय हिंद बोल के तूने मेरा दिल जीत लिया. Good.
Then,
अपनी शक्ल भी
Thank
दिखा
you,
दे.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robin
Guys.
sir.
thank you so much, sir.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I'm going to end the meeting right now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.